Hey, good evening, everyone. Hope you all had a fantastic and chill day. It is Wednesday. Mine was pretty chill. Didn't do too much outside of work. Got to play with the kids a little bit. Went outside and braved the wintry weather, but we had some fun in the snow. I wanted to talk about this interesting story here. It's not a lot of times where you see a trending topic that is actually good news, but this one's pretty cool. The title is World's First Face and Hands Transplant Gives a New Jersey Man a Second Chance at Life. The man's name is Joe Dimeo, and it says for the first time in more than 2 years, he could smile. If you looked at his before and after pictures, it's amazing. In July 2018, Dimeo, who was 20 at the time, fell asleep at the wheel of his car in New Jersey, and he lost control. The car hit the curb, flipping over before bursting into flames. Luckily, he was pulled out before the car exploded, but he had burns over 80% of his body, and that's just crazy. The damage was so severe that though Dimeo survived, he was left without eyelids, ears, and much of his fingers. He also had severe scarring on his face, neck that limited his range of motion, and the scars even partially covered his eyelids. So, I mean, when you talk about life-changing, it probably doesn't get a lot worse than that. On Wednesday, today, doctors at NYU Langone Medical announced that following 23 grueling hours of surgery, the now 22-year-old was on the road to gaining his life back. Dr. Eduardo Rodriguez is quoted as saying he's the most highly motivated patient I've ever met. And basically the surgery occurred this past August, and Dimeo's doctors wanted to wait to ensure the transplants were not rejected. So there's a chance that, again, you're getting transplants from someone else's body, new hands and a new face. There have been successful hand transplants, there have been successful face transplants, but there's never been a successful combined hand and face transplant. I believe this article says that it's been done twice before, and both attempts were unsuccessful, and that's worldwide. So Joe Dimeo is the first successful hand and face transplant worldwide. This article goes to talk on about, how some of the risks that are taken. So we needed to avoid infection. We needed to have this operation occur as fast as possible. We had to be very selective with the donor, and we had to implement every state-of-the-art technology that would ensure complete success of Joe's operation. And that's exactly what we did. To me, it's just amazing how far the miracle of medicine has come. The ability to do such a thing as this, to take someone else's face and to transplant it onto this person, and the same to do something with someone's hands is just amazing. So this article goes on to say Joe is healthy, he's young, he's strong, he loves to exercise, he has a high level of motivation and a tremendous sense of hope. The operation in particular took 80 people across 6 surgical teams and 2 adjoining operating rooms. As this goes a little bit more into the details. In one room, the hands and facial tissue of the dying donor were carefully removed and replaced with 3D printed prosthetics. They said they always start with a moment of silence to honor the donor family, to respect the great loss, to never forget the donations that have been made. And all these operations, it's important to recognize that someone must give up their life so that others can continue living. So, I mean, again, this is pretty cool. So more about the operation. This is too grueling, I understand. The operation was one that could very well have ended Dimeo's life. At Dimeo's arms, they had to cut the radius and ulna carefully, along with tendons, muscles, veins, nerves. I mean, pretty much you're losing, all that. And then they're replacing it. The right hand, Dimeo's dominant hand, came first, then the left. Basically, they said they had to replace 21 tendons, 3 major nerves, 5 major vessels, 2 major bones. Dr. Rodriguez said each hand and each structure had to be labeled, he added, to ensure proper reassembly. I mean, if you can imagine, it's like a whole bunch of wires. Like, I can just imagine, like I look at cars a lot. When you look at all the wiring, imagine all the nerves and tendons and stuff in the hands, and it's just crazy to me. So after 23 hours of surgery, the final stitch was made, 45 days in intensive care, and then 2 months of inpatient rehab. Dimeo learned to open his new eyelids, to move his new hands, and to smile. So then finally today, Dimeo's hands were every bit his own as he fished a written statement out of the breast pocket of a sport coat, held it up, and read it with newly opened eyes. He said, "I want to share my story to give people hope in the world. I'd like to recognize the selflessness of my donor and how none of this would be possible without his sacrifice. When asked how he's felt over the past few months of rehab, Dimeo said he'd felt like he'd been given a second chance at life. There's no excuse not to be motivated or not to do my therapy. And I know there's plenty of people out there that might not need this level of therapy, but that need something. But obviously it's out there. Hope is out there. So this is just a really awesome article. Really awesome story. He said it's kind of like when you're a baby. They're just moving their hands all the time until they get that ability to do stuff. I've got new hands now just like them, he said. There's always light at the end of the tunnel, Dimeo said. You never give up. So again, just a fantastic story. One that I definitely wanted to share because it's finally a positive story out of all the bleak things that happen throughout the year. It'll be interesting to see where this technology, where medicine takes us. I would like to see the future where you can actually get fully moving prosthetic limbs and a 3D created printed face or something that you could have that literally looks like you. I mean, wouldn't that be amazing if you didn't have to get someone else's transplant or wait or hope, but that something could just be 3D created and have everything that you need, all the tendons, all the nerves, or something like that would just be amazing and awesome. Nevertheless, not taking away from this story, it is still awesome. Let me know what you guys think about this, and I will see you all tomorrow. Peace out.